Welcome, my beloved friends. I am Onisaburo Deguchi. Hearken unto me. For today we shall speak of the most profound mystery that dwells within the secret depths of every man's heart. It is the question that haunts thy quietest nights: what becometh of us when we die? Is it darkness? Is it silence? Is it the end of all things? Nay, I say unto you with absolute certainty, death is not the end. It is, in truth, the glorious beginning of true life. Ye may ask, Onisaburo, how canst thou be so sure? I have walked through the valley of the shadow of death. I have faced the firing squad in the freezing winds of Mongolia. And I have endured the crushing weight of persecution in prison. Yet, through these trials, the divine has revealed to me the radiant reality of the spirit world. Your body is but a heavy garment, a temporary vessel for this earthly realm. When you cast it aside, you do not vanish, you are set free. Fear not, for the soul is eternal. Today, I shall reveal to you the laws of the afterlife, and the hope that shines beyond the grave. Chapter 1: The Weight of Flesh. My dear friends, let us first ponder the very nature of our existence. I ask thee to pause for a moment and look deep within thyself. What is it that thou callest I? Is it the hand that holds this device? Is it the face thou seest in the mirror each morning? Or is it something else? Something that dwells within, unseen yet undeniably present? Consider, if thou wilt, the days of thy childhood. Cast thy mind back to when thou wert but a small child. The body thou didst inhabit then was tender and small. Perhaps thou wert full of energy, running through the fields, or perhaps, like me, thou wert frail. Now, look at thyself today. Thy body hath changed, it hath grown, perhaps it hath aged, and surely every cell within it hath been replaced many times over. Physically, thou art a stranger to that child of yesteryear. And yet, dost thou not feel that thou art still the same person? The I that wept over a broken toy is the same I that now worries over the troubles of the world. Why is this so? It is because thy true essence, thy true self, is not the meat and bone of the body. It is the Reincarnation, the soul. We live in a world that worships the visible, yet it is the invisible that is eternal. Man is created by the divine upon the principle that the spirit is the master, and the body is the subordinate. In other words, the spirit is the master of the house, and the flesh is but the servant, or better yet, the garment. Have ye ever felt the heaviness of this world? I have. When I was born into this world as Kisaburo, long before I became Onisaburo, my body was a fragile thing. I was weak, often confined to my bed while other children played in the sun. I knew the bitterness of physical limitation. I knew the frustration of a spirit that wished to soar, trapped within a cage of bones that would not obey. Perhaps there are those among you who feel this now. Perhaps illness racks thy body, or age hath stolen the vigor of thy youth. Thou mayest feel that thou art fading away. But I say unto thee, despair not. For these pains are but the creaking of the old house before the tenant departs. What, then, is this thing we call death? The world fears it as a dark abyss, a thief that steals away the light. But in truth, death is far simpler, and far more gentle. Death is merely the act of the soul shedding its outer garment. Imagine, my friends, that thou art wearing a heavy, thick winter coat. It is useful in the biting cold of winter, is it not? It protects thee from the wind and the snow. But it is also heavy. It restricts thy movement. It weighs upon thy shoulders. When spring comes, and the warm sun shines, dost thou weep to take off that heavy coat? Nay, thou castest it aside with joy. Thou feelest lighter, freer, able to move with a grace thou hadst forgotten. So it is with death. The physical body is that heavy winter coat. It is necessary for the harsh climate of this this material world. We need it to touch, to speak, to work, to learn in this dense realm. But when our work here is done, when the winter of our earthly life has passed, we simply unzip this garment of flesh and step out of it. This is the first truth of our existence. The body is a prison, albeit a necessary one for a time. We are bound by gravity, by time, by hunger, and by fatigue. We are separated from our loved ones by distance. We cannot see the thoughts of others. We are locked in solitary confinement within our skulls. This is the suffering of the material world. But listen closely to me. When that moment of separation comes, when the silver cord is loosened, it is not a moment of loss. It is a moment of liberation. The Reincarnation, thy true self, does not die. It does not lose consciousness. It does not vanish into the void. Rather, it steps out of the old, worn-out clothing and stands revealed in its own light. I ask thee, is this a cause for sorrow? To be free from the ache of old joints? To be free from the disease that consumes the cells? To be free from the heaviness of clay? Nay, it is the beginning of true freedom. However, many souls do not know this. They cling to the coat even as it tatters. They fear the air of the spirit because they have forgotten how to breathe it. They believe they are the coat, and so they think that when the coat is buried, they too shall rot in the earth. This ignorance is the root of all fear. My friends, as we journey together through these talks, I shall show thee what lies beyond that shedding of the garment. But for now, rest in this thought. You are not a body that has a soul. You are a soul that has a body. And that soul is destined for a journey far greater than the span of these few decades on earth. Art thou ready to learn where that journey leads? Let us prepare our hearts, for the road ahead is steep, but the view is magnificent. Chapter 2: Prison of this World. My beloved friends, we have spoken of the body as a heavy garment that the soul must wear. But what of the road upon which this garment must walk? Look around thee. Does this world not often feel like a prison without bars? We toil, we struggle, we love, and we lose. We build castles in the sand, only to watch the tide of time wash them away. This is the second truth, the suffering of the Jinsei, this material world. I ask thee, have ye ever felt the cold sting of injustice? Have ye ever cried out to the heavens, why must I suffer so? What evil have I done to deserve this? I, too, have screamed those words in the silence of my heart. Let me tell thee of a winter long past, yet burned forever into my memory. It was the 8th of December, in the year of our Lord 1935. The air was biting cold, but the chill that descended upon us was not from the wind. Before the sun had even risen, the iron boots of authority surrounded our sanctuary. Hundreds of armed men, sent by a government that feared what it could not control, stormed our gates. They did not come to talk. They came to destroy. They called me a monster. They called me a traitor to the nation I loved. They dragged me and my beloved family into the dark, freezing cells of the police station. For years, my friends, I was locked away from the sun. Day after day, the interrogators came. Their words were like whips, seeking to break my spirit, seeking to make me deny the truths I had seen in the spirit world. Many of my dear disciples, men and women of gentle hearts, could not withstand the cruelty. Some died in the cold darkness. My own son-in-law, a man of delicate soul, was shattered in mind by their relentless torment. Canst thou imagine the agony of a father watching his children suffer for his sake? But the greatest blow was yet to come. While I sat in chains, they took the magnificent shrine at Kamioka, the month palace we had built with our own hands, stone by stone, prayer by prayer. And with dynamite, they blew it into dust. The thunder of that explosion echoed not just in the mountains of Kyoto, but in the spiritual realm itself. They thought that by pulverizing the stone, they could pulverize the faith. They thought that by imprisoning the body, they could imprison the God within. Oh, the foolishness of men who see only with eyes of flesh. Now, I ask thee to look at thine own life. Perhaps thou art not sitting in a cold cell with a number on thy chest. But art thou free? Maybe thy prison is a job that drains thy life force, day after weary day. Maybe thy jailer is a boss who mocks thy efforts, or a spouse who has grown cold and distant. Maybe thou art trapped by the invisible chains of debt, or the crushing weight of loneliness in a crowded city. Thou feelest that the world is unfair. Thou seest the wicked prosper, lying, cheating, stepping upon others to climb the ladder of success, while thou, who triest to walk the righteous path, art left in the dust. It burns, does it not? The fire of injustice sears the heart. But hearken unto me. Why does the divine allow such suffering? Is God deaf to our cries? Is the universe a cruel, empty void? Nay, 1,000 times, nay. This suffering, this prison of the world, is not a punishment. It is a gymnasium for the soul. Think of the sword. How is it made? Is the iron simply asked politely to become sharp? No. It is thrust into the roaring fire until it glows red with pain. It is placed upon the anvil and struck, again and again, by the heavy hammer. It is plunged into hissing water. If the iron could speak, it would scream for mercy. But the master smith knows that without the fire and the hammer, the iron would remain a useless lump of earth. My friends, thou art the iron. Life is the hammer. The injustices, the betrayals, the losses, these are the blows that shape thee. When I sat in that solitary cell, stripped of my robes, my titles, and my freedom, I realized a great truth. They could take my clothes, but they could not take my warmth. They could destroy my temple, but they could not touch the sanctuary in my heart. In that darkness, the light within me grew brighter than the sun at noon. I realized that I was not a victim. I was a student, and this harsh prison was my classroom. I did not hate the judge who condemned me. I did not hate the jailers who mocked me. I looked upon them with pity, for they were but unwitting tools in the hands of the divine, sent to polish my soul. Do not curse the storms that batter thy ship, for a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. If thy life were easy, if every wish were granted, if no one ever hurt thee, thy soul would remain a soft, formless thing. It is the resistance of the air that allows the eagle to soar. It is the resistance of the water that allows the ship to float. And it is the resistance of this difficult, painful, unfair world that allows thy spirit to rise. So, when thou feelest trapped, when the walls of thy life seem to be closing in, remember this. The butterfly must struggle to break free of the cocoon. If thou wert to cut the cocoon open to help it, the butterfly would die, for its wings would never gain the strength to fly. Thy struggle is necessary. Thy pain has a purpose. Thou art being prepared for a destiny far greater than this gray prison of earth. Endure. Patience is not simply waiting, it is the active strengthening of the will. Hold thy head high, even when the world tries to force it down. For the walls of this prison are made of illusion, and the door is locked from the inside. The key to open it is in thy hand. Art thou ready to turn it? Chapter 3: The Mirror of the Soul. My dear friends, we have spoken of the heavy coat of flesh and the prison of this unjust world. But now, we must ask the most dangerous question of all. If the world is a prison, who is the jailer? Who holds the key that locks the door? Look not to the government, nor to thy enemies, nor to the cruel twists of fate. Look into the mirror, for the jailer is thee. This is the third truth, the cause of suffering. It lies in the structure of thy very soul, and the discord between who thou art and who thou pretendest to be. Allow me to reveal to thee the anatomy of the spirit, a truth I have witnessed with my own spiritual eyes. The human spirit is not a simple, single vapor. It is twofold, like a nut within a shell. Deep within the center dwells the Nibbin, the inner self. This is the true master. It is the breath of the divine, the spark of God that grants thee conscience, love, and wisdom. It is pure light, unblemished and eternal. But wrapping around this light, like a thick skin, is the Gibbon, the outer shell. This outer shell is shaped like thy physical body. It holds thy memories of this earth. It holds thy knowledge, thy habits, thy cravings, and yes, thy secret desires. It is the bridge between the Holy Spirit within and the muddy world without. Now, hearken closely, for here lies the tragedy of mankind. In this life, we spend all our days polishing the mask, but we let the face beneath it rot. We care for our reputation. We care for our bank accounts. We care for how others see us. We build up the outer shell with layers of pride, greed, and deception. But what of the inner self? When was the last time thou didst feed thy conscience? When was the last time thou didst listen to that quiet voice of the divine? Imagine, if thou wilt, a beautiful, clear mirror. This mirror is thy soul. Every time thou tellest a lie, even a small white lie, a speck of dust falls upon the mirror. Every time thou hattest thy neighbor, a smear of grease is left upon the glass. Every time thou actest out of selfishness, ignoring the cry of the poor, a crack appears. Day after day, year after year, the dust becomes dirt, the dirt becomes mud, and the mud becomes a crust of stone. The light of the inner self can no longer shine through the filthy outer shell. This, my friends, is what we call evil. It is not a demon with horns. It is a mirror covered in mud. I ask thee to look at thy life right now. Dost thou believe thy secret thoughts are hidden in the darkness? When thou smilest at a rival but cursest him in thy heart, dost thou think no one hears? In this physical world, yes, thou canst hide. Thou canst wear a fine suit, speak with honeyed words, and deceive the whole world. But in the spirit world, there are no masks. The Gaiban, that outer shell, reacts instantly to the state of thy heart. If thy heart is full of greed, thy spirit body in the next world will look like a hungry wolf. If thy heart is full of deceit, thou wilt appear twisted and shadowed. If thou hast lived a life of crawling over others, thou mayest find thyself crawling like a snake. This is why I say the jailer is thee. It is thy own attachments, thy own stubborn clinging to the things of this earth, that creates the weight of thy soul. Why do souls fall into what men call hell? Is it because a wrathful God pushes them off a cliff? Nay, God is love. God wishes for no child to be lost. Souls fall because they are heavy. It is the law of spiritual gravity. Just as a stone sinks in water while oil floats, a soul heavy with the mud of greed and hatred sinks naturally to the bottom of the spirit world. They go to the place that matches their vibration. They go to the Yukai, the astral world of shadows, not because they are punished, but because they are too heavy to rise to heaven. I have seen these realms. I have seen souls who lived only for gold, now wandering in a barren land, digging endlessly in the dirt for coins that turn to dust. They built their own prison with the bricks of their avarice. I have seen souls who lived only for lust, burning with a fire that can never be quenched, for they have no physical body to satisfy it. They forged their own chains with the links of their unchecked desires. But do not think this concerns only the wicked criminals of the world. What of thee? What holds thee back? Is it a grudge thou refusest to let go of? He hurt me 10 years ago, thou sayest. I will never forgive him. That refusal to forgive is a heavy stone tied around thy neck. Is it fear? I must hoard everything for myself, for the world is dangerous. That fear is a wall thou buildest around thy heart, blocking out the light of heaven. My friends, the spirit world is a world of absolute transparency. Whatever thou art inside, thou shalt become outside. There is no hiding behind titles. A king who was cruel will be a beggar in spirit. A beggar who was kind will be a king in spirit. So, I ask thee this question, and I pray thou answerest it with honest silence. If thou wert to die this very moment, and thy body fell away, what would thy soul look like? Would it be a radiant light, ascending like a dove, or would it be a dark, heavy thing, sinking into the shadows? The cleaning of the mirror must begin now. Not tomorrow, not on thy deathbed, now, for the accumulation of dirt happens every day, and the polishing must happen every day. We are approaching the great river that divides the worlds. Thy passport is not thy money, nor thy fame. Thy passport is the lightness of thy being. Art thou carrying too much luggage? Let us prepare to inspect what we must leave behind, before we reach the waters of judgment. Chapter 4: The River of Judgment. My fellow travelers on this eternal road, we have looked into the mirror of the soul. Now, we must step forward, out of the body and toward the great boundary that divides the land of the living from the land of the spirits. It is a place whispered of in legends, sung of in ancient songs, and feared by the wicked. It is the river Sanzu Sanzu. Thou hast surely heard of this river. Perhaps thou thinkest it a mere fairy tale, a story to frighten children into behaving well. But I tell thee, it is as real as the blood that pumps through thy veins. Yet, its appearance is a mystery that shifts like smoke in the wind. To some, it appears indeed as a mighty, rushing river, vast and wide. To others, it appears as a tranquil lake, mirroring the stars of a strange new sky. And to some, it may look like a simple fence in a meadow, or a dark tunnel stretching into the unknown. Why does it change? Because the spirit world is not built of dead matter like this earth. It is built of consciousness. The landscape thou seest is painted by the brush of thy own heart. If thy heart is turbulent with fear and regret, thou shalt see a raging torrent. If thy heart is at peace, thou shalt see a gentle stream. As thou approachest this boundary, a wondrous and terrifying thing occurs. Listen closely, for this is the secret of the crossing. In this world, thou choosest thy clothes. Thou puttest on a suit to look successful, or fine silks to look wealthy. But at the river Sanzu, thy clothes obey a different master. They obey the law of vibration. As thou steppest toward the water, the garments of thy spirit body begin to change color before thy very eyes. For the soul that has lived a life of kindness, charity, and love, the robes turn a brilliant, dazzling white, or shine with the soft hues of gold and azure. They become light as a feather, radiant with the inner glow of the Nibbin, inner self. But, for the soul that has lived in the muck of selfishness, greed, and hatred, the tragedy, their clothes turn dark, they become stained with the color of dried blood, or the murky black of oil. They become heavy, dragging the spirit down like chains of lead. Imagine the scene, my friends. Thou standest on the bank. Beside thee is a man who was a great CEO in the mortal world, a man who commanded thousands, who was praised in the newspapers. But here, his robes are turning black as night, revealing the corruption he hid so well. And beside him stands a humble grandmother, poor and unnoticed by the world, but who loved her family with all her heart. Her robes are turning into a garment of light, brighter than the sun. At this river, all titles are stripped away, all masks fall. Thou art exactly what thou hast made thyself to be. I ask thee, if thou wert to step into those waters today, what color would thy robes turn? Wouldst thou walk with head held high in white, or wouldst thou cower in the shame of black? After crossing this boundary, the soul arrives at the Chukai, intermediate world. This is the great sorting ground. It is here that the judgment takes place. Do not imagine a courtroom with a gavel and a wig. It is far more profound. In the center of this realm stands the palace of judgment. The presiding spirit is known by many names. In Buddhism, he is Enma Dio, King Enma. In ancient Egypt, he was Osiris. In the West, he is the great judge. Though the names differ, the function is the truth. He is the guardian of the cosmic law. Many fear this judgment. They tremble at the thought of hellfire. But I say unto thee, fear not the judge, for he is not a tyrant. He is a mirror. In the hall of judgment, there is a device, a mirror of truth, or perhaps a screen vast and clear. Upon this surface, the movie of thy life is played, but it is not like a cinema where thou watchest with popcorn. Nay, thou feelest it. Thou relivest every moment. But here is the catch. Thou feelest it from the perspective of those thou didst affect. When thou gavest a coin to a beggar, thou shalt feel his relief and his gratitude as if it were thy own. It will fill thee with a joy greater than any earthly pleasure. But, when thou didst shout at thy child in anger, or cheat a partner in business, thou shalt feel their pain. Thou shalt feel the sting of thy own harsh words striking thy own heart. Thou shalt feel the despair thou causedst others. There is no hiding. There is no lawyer to argue thy case. There is only the raw, naked truth of cause and effect. This, my friends, is the justice of the divine. It is absolute, and it is fair. A man cannot bribe God. A man cannot lie to the universe. And yet, even in this judgment, there is mercy. For the purpose is not to condemn thee to eternal suffering. The purpose is to make thee realize thy errors, so that thou mayest correct them. Even the soul that falls into the Yukai, hell or astral world is not abandoned forever. They fall because they must learn. They fall because the weight of their black robes pulls them down. But if they repent, if they cry out to God with a sincere heart, a spider's thread of salvation is always lowered. We are all travelers on this river. We are all weaving the fabric of our spirit clothes with every thought and every deed. Look at thy hands. Are they hands that help, or hands that take? Look at thy tongue. Does it speak truth, or does it spin webs of deceit? The movie of thy life is being filmed right now, in this very second. Make it a story thou wilt be proud to watch in the hall of judgment. Make it a story of love, of struggle, and of triumph over the selfish self. For soon, the director will call, cut, and the premiere will begin. Art thou ready for the show? Chapter 5: The Bullet and the Void. My friends, we have spoken of the judgment that awaits us in the hereafter. But sometimes, judgment comes to us while we still breathe the air of this earth. Sometimes, we are forced to stand upon the precipice of the abyss, with our toes curling over the edge, looking down into the great unknown. Have ye ever faced a moment where thou wert certain, absolutely certain, that thy next breath would be thy last? A moment where the clock of thy life stopped ticking, and silence swallowed the world. I have stood in that silence. Let me carry thy spirit back to the year 1924. The place was not the comfortable room where thou sittest now. It was the vast, desolate plains of Mongolia. The wind there does not blow, it bites. It howls like 1,000 lost souls seeking entrance to the warmth of the living. I had traveled there with a handful of my most loyal disciples, seeking to build a kingdom of peace, a utopia where the spirit could rule over the sword. But the world of men is jealous of such dreams. We were branded as bandits. We were hunted down by the warlord's army. And at a place called Paintara, the trap snapped shut. Picture the scene, if thou hast the courage. The sun was high and cruel. The dust coated our throats, making every breath a struggle. We were dragged out into an open field. Before us stood a row of soldiers. Their faces were hard, stripped of pity. In their hands, they held rifles, cold steel designed for one purpose, only to tear the soul from the body. They raised their weapons. Click. The sound of the safety catches being released was louder than thunder. I looked to my left and saw my beloved disciples. Some were trembling. Who could blame them? The instinct of the flesh is to survive. The body screams, I do not want to die. Not yet, not here. But in that moment, as I stared down the black eye of the barrel that was destined to kill me, a profound change overcame my spirit. It was not panic. It was not terror. It was clarity. I realized that this body, this Kisaburo, this Onisaburo, was about to be destroyed. The heavy coat I spoke of earlier was about to be shredded by lead. And in the face of that inevitability, the heavy coat suddenly felt loose. I felt the buttons undo. I felt the weight lift. I looked at the soldier who was about to kill me, and I did not see an enemy. I saw a brother playing a role in a tragic play. I saw the absurdity of it all. And from the depths of my Niben, my inner self, a poem surged forth like a fountain of crystal water. I recited it in my heart, a farewell to the world of dust. Even if my body rots in the fields of Mongolia, I shall not lower the dignity of a Japanese man. My spirit shall soar, untethered and free, leaving the husk to the wind and the sand. My friends, this is the secret I wish to impart to thee today. This is the bridge between suffering and peace. It is the acceptance of the void. When I accepted death, death lost its power over me. When I let go of my attachment to my life, life suddenly became infinite. The fear vanished. In its place, a great peace, Enshin Ritsume, flooded my being. It was a golden light that washed away the soldiers, the guns, the dust, and the fear. I was ready. I was not ending, I was expanding. As the order to fire was about to be given, destiny intervened. A messenger arrived. A reprieve was granted at the very last fraction of a second. We were saved, or rather, our bodies were saved. But in truth, the Onisaburo who walked away from that field was not the same man who had walked onto it. The old man had died in that field. A new man, one who had touched the face of eternity, walked away. I ask thee now, what is the gun pointing at thy head? It is likely not a soldier in Mongolia. But perhaps it is a diagnosis from a doctor? Perhaps it is the fear of bankruptcy? Perhaps it is the fear of being alone, unloved and forgotten? These are the rifles of thy daily life. They make thee tremble. They make thee beg for mercy. But listen to me. The fear comes only because thou clingest to the coat. Thou art afraid to lose the gaiban, the outer shell. Try this experiment in the safety of thy heart. Close thine eyes. Imagine the worst has happened. Imagine thou hast lost it all. Imagine the bullet has fired. And realize, thou art still there. The observer remains. The spirit remains. The love remains. To truly live, one must die before one dies. One must let go of the frantic gripping of the ego. When thou ceasest to struggle against the inevitable, thou floatest. And the river of life, which seems so terrifying, becomes a stream that carries thee home. We survived Paintara not because we fought, but because we surrendered to the divine will. We walked through the valley of the shadow of death, and we found that the shadow cannot exist without the light. And now, having passed through that shadow, let me show thee what lies on the other side. Let me show thee the dawn that breaks after the darkest night. For having accepted death, we are now ready to speak of true life. The realm of light awaits. Shall we enter it together? Chapter 6: The Dawn of True Life. My beloved friends, we have walked through the valley of the shadow. We have stared into the barrel of the gun and found the silence of the void. Now, open the eyes of thy spirit. Let the scales fall from thy vision. For I shall tell thee of the morning that breaks after the long night of earthly life. I shall speak of the Shinkai, the divine world, the true home from whence we came and to which we must return. I have written 81 volumes of the tales of the spirit world Reiki Monogatari. I dictated them in a trance, speaking faster than the pen could scratch the paper, for the visions shown to me were too vast, too magnificent for human language to contain. Yet, I must try to paint this picture for thee. Many of you imagine heaven as a boring place. Ye think of sitting upon a cold cloud, strumming a harp for all eternity, with nothing to do but stare at the whiteness. Banish that thought. That is not heaven, that is a dentist's waiting room. The kingdom of heaven is alive. It is vibrant. It is bursting with color and activity. Imagine a world where the flowers do not merely sit in the ground, they sing. Their colors are not just red or blue, they are hues that do not exist in the spectrum of the sun. They shine with an inner light, and when thou walkest past them, they bow in greeting, emitting a fragrance that heals the weary heart. Imagine water that is not wet and cold, but feels like liquid silk, cleansing not just the skin but the memories of sorrow. This is the Tengoku, the kingdom of heaven. It is a world of absolute harmony. There is no competition there. No man tries to be greater than his brother. There is no money to hoard. For what need is there of gold when the very stones of the road shine like diamonds? The currency of heaven is love. The more thou givest, the richer thou becomest. And what of thee? Look at thy body now. Perhaps thou art old. Perhaps thy back aches when the rain falls. Perhaps thou lookest in the mirror and seest the lines of worry etched upon thy face. In the spirit world, the heavy winter coat is gone. Thou shalt inhabit a spirit body that is light as a thought. It obeys thy will instantly. Dost thou wish to be on the mountaintop? Thinking it is being there. Dost thou wish to be young again? Hearken to this joy in the high realms of heaven. The soul manifests its prime. Men often appear as they were in their 30s, strong, vigorous, full of purpose. Women often appear as they were in their 20s, radiant, graceful, the very embodiment of beauty. But this beauty is not skin deep, it is the glow of the Nibbin shining through. There is no sickness, there is no fatigue, there is only the endless energy of the divine flowing through thee like a mighty river. Now, I ask thee to close thine eyes for a moment. I want thee to think of someone thou hast lost. Is it a grandmother who held thee on her lap? Is it a father who worked his hands to the bone for thee? Is it a child who left this world too soon? Or a friend who knew the secrets of thy heart? Thou thinkest they are gone. Thou visitest their grave and speakest to a cold stone. But listen to me, they are not in the grave. They are waiting. One of the greatest joys of the spirit world is the reunion. Imagine the scene: thou crossest the river, thy robes turning white with the peace in thy heart. And there, standing on the shore of light, they are. They are not sick, they are not old, they are smiling with a radiance that blinds the sun. They run to thee. There is no need for words, for in that realm, thoughts are shared instantly. Thou feelest their love washing over thee, a warm embrace that melts away years of loneliness. Welcome home, they say. We have watched over thee. We have waited. Is there any fear in death when such a welcome awaits? Nay, my friends, the death thou fearest is but the opening of the door to the family reunion thou hast longed for all thy life. But life in heaven is not just sitting and remembering. It is a university of the soul. We work, but it is not the toil of slavery. It is the work of creation and service. Some souls guide the newcomers, like ushers at a grand theater. Some descend invisibly to the earth to protect their descendants. Yes, perhaps even thee, right now. Some devote themselves to art, painting landscapes that change with the music of the spheres. Some study the deep laws of the universe, learning the mysteries of the stars and the mind of God. Everything thou didst wish to learn on earth but had no time for, it is there. Everything thou didst wish to create but had no talent for, it is there. For in heaven, the only limit is the limit of thy imagination and thy love. And let me speak of one more mystery. In that world, time does not rule us as a tyrant. Here, we are slaves to the clock. Tick-tock, running out of life. There, the past, the present, and the future exist in an eternal now. Thou canst revisit the joys of thy childhood. Thou canst see the fruits of thy labors generations down the line. It is a freedom so vast that the human mind can scarcely comprehend it. My friends, this is the destination. This is the metai, the cessation of all suffering. It is not an empty void. It is the fullness of life. It is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the sequel, written in letters of fire and light. Does thy heart not yearn for this? Does thy soul not whisper, yes, I remember. That is my home. But, and here is the great but, not everyone walks straight into this garden of delights. Remember the heavy clothes? Remember the mirror covered in mud? To enter this high world, one must be light. One must be clean. We cannot drag our bags of greed and hatred through the pearly gates. So, how do we prepare? How do we polish the mirror while we are still here, in the dust and the noise of the Jinsei? How do we ensure that our reunion is one of joy and not one of shame? The path is clear. The method is given. Let us now turn our eyes to the map that leads us home. Let us speak of the path. Chapter 7: The Four Spirits Within. My fellow seekers of the light, we have glimpsed the radiant shores of the divine world. We know now that death is but a sunrise, and that a home of beauty awaits us. But a map is useless if the traveler does not know how to walk. How do we reach that high ground? How do we ensure that our robes turn white at the river of judgment? The answer lies not in the stars above, but in the universe within. For the Creator has given thee a compass, a sword, and a shield, buried deep within thy own breast. This is the fourth truth, the path of the soul. And the secret of this path is known as Ichirei Shakan, one spirit, four souls. Let me take thee back to the year 1898. I was but a young man then, named Kisaburo. My heart was heavy with the troubles of the world, and I sought answers where few dared to tread. I climbed the sacred Mount Takakuma. For 1 week, I secluded myself in a dark, cold cave. I drank only water. I spoke to no man. I sat in the silence until the silence began to speak to me. In that solitude, stripping away the noise of the world, I saw the structure of my own being. I realized that I was not a single, solid stone. I was a team. I was a gathering of energies. My friends, listen closely, for this knowledge is the key to mastering thy destiny. Within thee, there is a king. This king is the Ichirei, the one spirit. We call it the Naohi. It is the direct spirit, the divine spark that connects thee straight to God. It is thy conscience. When thou art about to do wrong, and a quiet voice whispers, "No, this is not the way," that is the Naohi speaking. It is the conductor of the orchestra. But a conductor needs musicians to play the music. And these musicians are the 4 souls, the Shakan. First is the Aramatama, the wild soul. Do not fear the word wild. It means courage. It means progress. It is the fire in thy belly that makes thee get out of bed in the morning. It is the strength that helps thee overcome difficulties and push through the storms. I ask thee, is thy fire burning low? Dost thou give up easily when the road gets hard? Then thy Aramatama is weak. Thou needs to feed it with determination. Second is the Niji Matama, the gentle soul. This is the water that cools the fire. It is the power of harmony, of peace, of friendship. It allows thee to get along with thy neighbors, to keep a family together, to bring calm to a chaotic room. I ask thee, art thou always angry? Dost thou fight with everyone thou meetest? Then thy Niji Matama is dry. Thou needs to water it with patience. Third is the Saki Matama, the happy soul, or the loving soul. Saki means happiness, but it also means the harvest. This is the power of love and creation. It is the urge to care for others, to grow a garden, to raise a child, to weep at a beautiful sunset. Without this soul, life is a barren desert. I ask thee, is thy heart cold? Hast thou forgotten how to cry or how to love? Then thy Saki Matama is sleeping. Wake it up with gratitude. Fourth is the Kushi Matama, the wondrous soul, or the wise soul. This is the power of wisdom, of strategy, of insight. It is the compass that tells the wild soul where to run. It is the intuition that warns thee of danger before it arrives. It is the scientist discovering a cure, and the artist finding the perfect color. I ask thee, dost thou make the same mistakes over and over again? Then thy Kushi Matama is clouded. Polish it with learning and reflection. Here is the great secret, my friends. These 4 souls must work together under the command of the king, the Naohi. If the king falls asleep, the musicians go mad. Without the conscience Naohi, the courage Aramatama becomes violence. The gentle peace Niji Matama becomes cowardice and indecision. The love Saki Matama becomes obsession and lust. The wisdom Kushi Matama becomes cunning and deceit. Look at the world today. Wars, greed, corruption, broken families. Why? Because men have strong wild souls and strong wise souls, but they have lost their king. They have lost their conscience. The conductor has left the podium, and the orchestra is playing a cacophony of noise. But thou art different. Thou art here, listening to these words. Thou art seeking the balance. Every night, before thou sleepest, hold a meeting with thy internal team. Ask thy wild soul, did we fight for what is right today? Ask thy gentle soul, were we kind to others today? Ask thy loving soul, did we express gratitude today? Ask thy wise soul, did we learn something new today? And above all, ask thy Naohi, did I live according to the will of heaven? This practice is called Karimiru, to look back, to reflect. It is the polishing cloth for the mirror of thy soul. Do not let the dust settle. For when these 4 souls are balanced, when they dance in harmony under the light of the conscience, thou becomest a living temple. Thou bringest heaven down to earth, And that, my friends, is the true purpose of our lives. We are not here just to eat and sleep. We are here to conduct a masterpiece. Is thy baton ready? Chapter 8: Creation as Prayer. My beloved friends, we have spoken of the inner kingdom, the four souls and the spirit king that dwells within. But a kingdom is of no use if it remains locked behind high walls. The spirit must breathe, the spirit must move, the spirit must create. Today, I bring you a truth that may surprise you, especially coming from a man of religion. Many think that religion is about reading holy books, sitting in silence, and following strict rules. But I say unto thee, art is the mother of religion. Yea, you heard me correctly. Before there were scriptures, there was the song. Before there were temples, there was the dance around the fire. Before there were prayers written in ink, there were paintings on the cave walls. To create beauty is the highest form of prayer. To mold form out of nothingness is to imitate the Creator Himself. God did not write a dissertation to create the world He spoke, He sang. He painted the sky with stars and the earth with flowers. Therefore, when thou createst, thou art nearest to the heart of the divine. Let me share with thee the days of my twilight years, after I was released from the cold prison, after the wars had ended and the world lay in ruins. I did not retreat into a cave to mourn. Nay, I rolled up my sleeves and I plunged my hands into the mud. I turned to pottery. I sought to capture the spirit of the universe in a simple tea bowl. People called them yawan, the shining bowls. But to me, they were solidified prayers. Imagine the scene, if thou wilt. I was an old man, over 70 years of age. My body was worn by torture and time. But my spirit was a roaring furnace. In a span of just over 1 year, I shaped more than 3,000 bowls. 3,000. I worked like a man possessed, from the rising of the sun to the setting of the moon. My disciples would watch in awe, sometimes in fear, as I threw the clay upon the wheel. My hands moved not by calculation, but by the rhythm of the cosmos. And as I worked, I did not stay silent. I sang. I chanted the Norito, the ancient prayers of purification. Spin, spin, O wheel of life. Form, form, O vessel of light. Every thumbprint I left in the clay was a stamp of the spirit. Every splash of color I threw upon the glaze was a verse of gratitude. I did not try to make them perfect by the standards of men. Some were rough, some were crooked, some looked like the jagged rocks of the mountain. But they were alive. They held the vibration of the joy of creation. When thou drinkest tea from such a bowl, thou art drinking the very laughter of the earth. Now, I can hear thy thoughts swirling in the ether. But Onisaburo, thou sayest, I am not an artist. I cannot draw a straight line. I have no talent. Oh, foolish modesty. Who told thee that art belongs only to the professionals? Who told thee that unless a painting hangs in a museum, it is not art? That is the lie of the Gaiban, the outer shell that fears judgment. Thy life itself is the canvas. I ask thee, when thou cookest a meal for thy family, dost thou throw the ingredients together with a sigh of boredom? Or dost thou chop the vegetables with love, imagining the smiles of thy children? If thou cookest with love, that soup is a masterpiece greater than any sculpture. When thou tendest to thy garden, do not just pull weeds. Speak to the flowers, arrange them so they may catch the sun. That is painting with nature. When thou writtest an email or a letter, do not just send cold facts. Weave a little warmth into the words. That is poetry. The Saki Matama, the loving soul we spoke of, yearns to create. It hungers to bring something new into this world. When thou deniest this urge, when thou spendest all thy days merely consuming, watching the screens, eating the food others made, buying the clothes others sewed, thy soul begins to starve. Depression, my friends, is often the scream of a soul that has forgotten how to play. Yes, play. God is the great playful one. Look at the platypus, look at the giraffe, look at the ridiculous colors of a parrot. Dost thou think God was being serious and professional when he made those? He was having fun. He was expressing the infinite joy of being. So, here is my command to thee. Not a suggestion, but a command for the health of thy spirit. Make something. It does not matter if it is bad. In fact, make it bad. Sing a song off key while thou drivest thy car. Dance in thy kitchen while the water boils. Write a poem that doesn't rhyme and read it to the moon. Knit a scarf that is too long. Build a birdhouse that leans to the left. The object does not matter. The act matters, for in the act of creation, thou pushest aside the heavy curtains of the material world and lettest the light of the Shinkai, divine world pour through thy fingers. Thou art a child of the Creator. Creativity is thy birthright. Do not let the critics, the teachers, or the cold logic of the world take that away from thee. Polish thy soul not just with prayer, but with the sweat of creation. For when thou mockest something with love, thou leavest a footprint of light in the dust of this world. And that, my friends, is the most beautiful legacy a soul can leave behind. Are thy hands ready to mold the clay of thy destiny? Chapter 9: The Invisible Thread. My fellow travelers, we have learned how to polish the mirror of the soul and how to create with the hands of prayer. But even the strongest traveler grows weary. Even the bravest warrior feels the chill of solitude when the night is dark and the path is steep. There are moments, are there not, when thou feelest completely alone in this vast universe? Thou lookest at the stars and feelest small. Thou facest a crisis, a sickness, a loss, a failure, and thou criest out, "Is there no one to help me?" Hearken unto me, and let these words be a balm to thy spirit. Thou art never alone, not for a single second, not for a single breath, for we are bound by an invisible thread to the world beyond. And at the other end of that thread stands a guardian, a watcher, a silent partner in thy life's journey. We call this presence the Shugo Rei, the guardian spirit. Who are these unseen companions? They are often thy ancestors. They are the grandfathers and grandmothers who walked this earth before thee. They are souls with whom thou hast shared deep bonds in ages past. Though they have cast off the heavy coat of the flesh, their love for thee has not died. Nay, it has grown stronger, for now they see with the eyes of the Spirit. They watch over thee as a mother watches over her sleeping babe. They rejoice when thou smilest. They weep when thou fallest. I ask thee to look back upon the tapestry of thy life. Think of a moment when danger stood right before thee. Perhaps thou wert walking down the street, and for no reason, thou didst pause. And in that very second, a car sped by, missing thee by an inch. Why didst thou stop? Was it coincidence? Or perhaps thou wert about to make a terrible decision in business or in love. The contract was ready, the pen was in thy hand. But a strange feeling, a knot in thy stomach, told thee, wait. Do not do this. And later, thou foundest out that signing that paper would have been thy ruin. What was that feeling? Men call it intuition or a hunch. But I tell thee, it is the whisper of thy guardian spirit. They cannot shout in thy physical ear. They cannot grab thy physical arm. They speak in the language of the Naohi, the inner spirit. They send thoughts that feel like thy own. They send sudden waves of warmth when thou art on the right path, and sudden chills when thou art walking toward a cliff. To ignore this intuition is to cut the telephone wire while they are trying to warn thee of the fire. But this relationship is not a one-way street. It is a bridge that must be crossed from both sides. The spirits help us, yes, but we must also help them. In the traditions of the East, we speak of kuyo, memorial service or prayer for the dead. But do not think this means merely buying expensive altars or paying priests to chant while thou sleepest. The true kuyo is the offering of the heart. Imagine thy grandfather in the spirit world. He wants to help thee. He wants to lift thee up. But if thou livest a life of selfishness, if thou art cruel to thy neighbors, if thou art lazy and ungrateful, it is like throwing mud in his face. He loses his power to help thee because the connection is blocked by the grime of thy bad deeds. But, when thou doest a good deed, when thou helpest a stranger, when thou forgivest an enemy, when thou sayest, thank you, with tears in thine eyes. It is like sending a beam of pure light up that invisible thread. Thy ancestor receives that light. It becomes his food. It becomes his strength. He shines brighter in heaven because of thy actions on earth, and in return, with his increased power, he can guide thee even better. It is a beautiful cycle of love flowing up and down, between the visible and the invisible. I ask thee, when was the last time thou didst speak to them? Thou needest no special temple. Thy heart is the temple. Before thou sleepest, simply close thine eyes and say, Grandfather, Grandmother, Guardian Spirits, thank you for protecting me today. I am doing my best. Please guide me to be useful to the world. That simple thought rings like a golden bell in the high heavens. They hear it, they smile, and let me speak of a graver matter. We live in turbulent times. I have prophesied the Tatake and Tatenaushi, the great reconstruction of the world. Old systems are crumbling. The world shakes with confusion. I warned of the wars before they came, not to frighten, but to prepare. In these times of chaos, the intellect of man is not enough. The smart men of the world are confused. The politicians are lost in the fog. Only those who hold the hand of the divine, only those who listen to the guidance of the Spirit, will walk through the storm unharmed. Thy guardian spirit sees the storm from above. They know the safe path. Trust that little voice. Trust the invisible thread. Do not think that death breaks the bond of love. Love is the only force in the universe that can cross the boundary of dimensions. If thou grievest for a loved one who has passed recently, hear this. Your grief, if it is too heavy, pulls them down. It makes their journey hard. Instead of tears of despair, send them prayers of gratitude. Thank you for being in my life. I am okay. Go to the light. This sets them free. And a free spirit is a powerful guardian. My friends, walk with your head high. You are walking in a procession of light. Behind you, beside you, and above you, an army of loving souls is marching. They are cheering for you. They are whispering, you can do it. Keep going. We are with you. Listen to them, and let us walk together toward the final realization, the building of the kingdom of heaven right here on this earth. For that is the mission they have entrusted to us, and that is the mission we must fulfill. Are you ready to be the hands and feet of the angels? Chapter 10, Building Heaven on Earth. My beloved friends, we have journeyed far together. We have traveled from the fear of death to the glorious landscapes of the spirit world. We have looked within the mirror of the soul and discovered the guardians who watch over us. Now, we stand at the final gate. The question remains why? Why are we here? Why must we endure the heavy coat of flesh? Why does the Creator send us into this world of mud and tears? Is it merely a test to see if we are worthy of returning home? Nay, that is too small a thought for so great a God. The purpose of our lives is not to escape this world. It is to transform it. Let me take thee to the final chapter of my earthly struggle. The year was 1945. The war had ended. The cities of Japan lay in ashes. The pride of the nation was broken. I, too, stood amidst the ruins. The government that had persecuted me, that had blown up my temple and imprisoned my family, had fallen. The laws that had silenced us were gone. Lawyers and friends came to me, their eyes burning with the desire for justice. Onisaburo, they said, now is the time. Let us sue the government. Let us demand compensation for the years they stole from you. Let us make them pay for every stone of the temple they destroyed. They expected the great monster, as the papers called me, to roar with vengeance. They expected me to demand an eye for an eye, but I looked at them, and I shook my head. Nay, I said, we shall ask for nothing. They were shocked. Why, are you not angry? I smiled, for my heart was light. Do ye not see? I told them, this was the providence of God. If the government had not imprisoned us, if they had not suppressed our movement, we would have been swept up in the war. My followers would have been sent to the front lines to kill and be killed. our organization would have been used to support a war one knew was doomed. By locking us away, God hid us in the shadow of His hand. He used the prison to protect us from a greater evil. Therefore, I feel no hatred. I feel only gratitude. I forgive them, for they were the unwitting guardians of our lives. My friends, this is the hardest lesson of all, but it is the golden key to the kingdom. Forgiveness. I ask thee now, is there someone in thy life whom thou hadst? Is there a person who betrayed thee, cheated thee, or mocked thee? Thy Aramatama, wild soul wants to strike back. Thy wounded pride wants to see them suffer. But listen to me, as long as thou holdest that coal of hatred in thy hand, hoping to throw it at them, thou art the one getting burned. Hatred binds thee to the very person thou wishest to escape. It is an iron chain that drags thee down to the lowest levels of the spirit world. To build heaven, thou must first dismantle the hell in thy own heart. Forgive them, not because they deserve it, but because thou deservest peace. Say to the universe, I release this debt. It is finished. In that moment, the chain breaks, and thou art free to fly. And what shall we build with this freedom? We shall build, Chijo Tengoku, heaven on earth. This is the great mission. We are not here to wait for death to take us to a better place. We are here to bring that better place down to this place. Look at the mud around thee. Look at the chaos of society. Do not turn away in disgust. Roll up thy sleeves. The divine artist needs hands to mold this clay. How do we do this? It does not require grand revolutions or armies. It starts in thy kitchen. It starts in thy office. It starts on the crowded train. It starts with Aizen, love and goodness. When thou smilest at a tired cashier, thou art placing a brick of heaven on the cold floor of earth. When thou doest thy work with honesty, refusing to cheat even when no one is looking, thou art polishing a window for the divine light to shine through. When thou raisest thy children to be kind rather than just rich, thou art planting the seeds of the future paradise. Every act of kindness is a hammer blow that shapes the new world. I was called many things in my life. A prophet, a revolutionary, a madman, a monster. I accept them all. If being a monster means having the colossal energy to fight for peace, then I am a monster. If being a madman means believing in a world without war when everyone else is sharpening their swords, then I am happily mad. I did not care for titles. I cared only for the truth. And the truth is that we are all brothers and sisters, children of the same source. The division between us and them is the greatest lie ever told. My dear friends, the time has come for me to end this talk, but for thee, the real work is just beginning. Do not let these words fade like a dream upon waking. Carve them into the tablet of thy heart. Thou art a spirit, eternal and bright. Thou art wearing a coat of flesh for a brief season. Thou art here to learn, to create, to love, and to leave this world a little more beautiful than thou foundest it. Fear not the future. Prophecies of doom are only warnings to change our path. If we change our hearts, the future changes instantly. The Moroku no Yo, the age of Maitreya, the age of peace, is not a date on a calendar. It is a state of consciousness, and thou canst enter it right now, in this very breath. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale the light of the universe. Exhale the shadows of fear. Thou art safe. Thou art loved. Thou art necessary. Go forth, my friends. Live with such passion, such joy, and such kindness that when death finally comes to knock on thy door, thou canst open it with a smile and say, "Welcome, old friend. I have used this life well. I have nothing left to pack. Let us go home. My blessings go with thee. May the light of the divine shine upon thy path, now and forevermore." Thank you for listening. Farewell, until we meet again in the great garden of light. Summary: the eternal journey. Thus, my dear friends, we draw to the close of our discourse today. Have ye found comfort in these words? I pray that the fear of death hath vanished from thy heart like mist before the morning sun. Remember always, death is not a farewell forever, but merely a migration to a higher realm. This world is but a school, and thy trials, be they sickness, poverty, or sorrow, are but lessons to polish the diamond of thy soul. Do not let the hardships of this fleeting life crush thy spirit. Instead, live this day with gratitude. Sow the seeds of love in the hearts of thy neighbors, for it is these deeds of love that shall become thy true treasure in the world to come. Though the flesh may perish, the bond between souls is unbreakable. Walk with hope, for thou art never alone. I pray from the depths of my heart for the elevation of thy soul and for thy happiness. May the blessings of the divine rest upon thee abundantly. Until we meet again in that land of light, fare thee well. Thank you for watching. Thank you.